If you take a moment to stop and think about it, Wikipedia really is an amazing resource. It's a constantly updated free encyclopedia. Compare that to the full 32-volume Encyclopedia Britannica. That cost $1,400 and was updated every 2 years. Now, if you could afford one, it's unlikely you'd go and buy another one. So, over time, some of the information in it would become inaccurate. I mean, my parents' encyclopedias contain loads of countries that just don't even exist anymore. Now, Wikipedia does have its own inaccuracy issues at times, but it's constantly evolving and improving and includes articles on things that you'd never find in a traditional encyclopedia. But just like one of those, it's not intended to tell you everything about a particular subject. It's just a good jumping off point, a place to start your research. For a while there, CD-ROM encyclopedias were the next big thing, and these even went portable, as I showed in my video about the Sony Data Discman. And one advantage these and the books that preceded them had over Wikipedia was that you could still use them without an internet connection. In the comments under my video about that Data Discman range, a product was mentioned that attempted to solve this problem: the WikiReader, an offline version of Wikipedia. Now, it sounds like something from a Tim and Eric sketch, but it's a real product, or at least it was. It made its way to the market in 2009, although it seems like it's already largely been forgotten. The WikiReader was designed to be simple to use, as well as economical to make. It sold for $99. There were quarterly updates available as either downloads, or if you were entirely offline, you could have them sent to you through the post. It's got a touchscreen display, but because it's got no backlight, according to the back of the box, you could run it for 12 months on just 2 AAA batteries. Now, if the idea of a handheld device that carries the sum of all human knowledge reminds you of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, then the connection doesn't appear to have been lost on the manufacturers either, who with a knowing nod state that the WikiReader covers history to current events, science to entertainment, Babylon to Babelfish. It was made by a company called Pan Digital, who had previously made digital photo frames, but around the time of the launch of the WikiReader, they expanded to producing e-readers and Android tablets. Now, clearly this didn't pan out for them, and in November 2012, Pan Digital declared bankruptcy, and all their stock was liquidated. The WikiReader price went from $99 to $14.99 to $12.99 to $10. A rather desperate fate for an unusual curiosity. However, I've got one here, new in box, so let's take a look at the internet without the internet. It took me a surprising amount of time to get hold of this. I saw quite a few for sale in the US, but none of the places would export them to the UK. I was just beginning to think I wouldn't be able to get hold of one, and then I found this one for sale over here. Looking at the bottom of the screen here, you can see there's 3 buttons: Search, History and Random. So we've got a screen protector on here. I'll remove that just to make sure that it's not hindering the responsiveness of the capacitive touchscreen. Now, around the back there's a battery compartment, and along the top is a power button. And that's pretty much it. So I'll put those 2 AAAs in here that were inside the box, and once I've got the cover back on there, I'll just turn it over, we'll switch it on. You can see it comes on instantly, so let's type our first search into here. Perhaps it's a bit of a case of the snake eating its own tail, but let's look up WikiReader on Wikipedia, see what it has to say. You can see it's quite a small keyboard, but it does work. You just have to be quite careful with your positioning of your finger. It takes a little while to come up with the result, but we can see here, it's a very reflective screen. It's quite difficult to shoot for this video. But yeah, it mentions that the device came out in October 2009, retailing for $99. Updates were issued on microSD cards for $29 a year. It's saying the first download is now available, so this is a bit outdated. The device can also run programs written in Forth. The simple calculator program is included. The display is 3.5 inches, resolution of 240 by 208, capacitive touchscreen. There's the CPU details. The firmware is 64K. The memory is 32 megabytes. MicroSD up to 8 gigs, it says there. We've got the dimensions and we've got the weights as well. Oh, 90 hours battery life it says there, and that's for the 1 year, so obviously don't leave it on all the time, so it's really 90 hours out of 2 AAAs. Let's click on the AAA hyperlink and see where that takes us to. Of course it lists battery sizes there. These searches do take a couple of seconds to appear on the screen, which seems a little bit long, but it's bearable. Let's try searching for something else. So you press the search button at the bottom here. Tapping it again removes the keyboard. Rather unsurprisingly, history shows the history of the searches you've done. I've just got those 2 so far. You can clear the history if you want to. And then, yeah, guess what random does? It comes up with a random article out of the database. And again, it takes a couple of seconds for it to appear. But there we go, the USS Altair. That was pretty random. When you type in a search, you can see there is a progress bar moves along the top of the screen, so you know the device is responding to you. And I've typed in UK Prime Minister here just to see when this database was fixed. And you can see at the bottom it says the Prime Minister is David Cameron. It isn't anymore, it's what's her face. But anyway, you can click on that and you can see the bar move along the top of the screen there as well. I'll just have a quick flick through the manual to see if there are any additional features that I need to know about. Thank you for purchasing WikiReader, it says. From the start, our goal has been to give physical form to Wikipedia, one of the most interesting aspects of the internet. Now you have it with you wherever you go. Of course, pretty much everyone with a smartphone nowadays can have Wikipedia in their pocket, but this was designed for people that didn't have internet access. However, even in 2009, that really was quite a niche market, and it would have got more niche as time went on. Now here's a hidden function, previous page. If you tap the very bottom left corner of the screen, it will take you back. You've got to be careful when you're doing that not to tap on any hyperlinks, and you've got to think it would have made more sense just to put a back button along the bottom next to the other 3. Another feature it mentions in the manual, which isn't immediately obvious, if you tap the random button 3 times you get into the parental controls where you can set a password which would lock out certain parts of the Wikipedia database. And you could add additional wikis or databases to this device, one of which would give you 33,000 digital books. I'm not sure if I'd really want to read a full book on this. The display gets very smeary when it's scrolling, although it is quite sharp when it's still, but it doesn't have a backlight, of course. It mentions here that WikiReader does not require constant updating to be useful. But by this point in time, it's got a little bit out of date. There's a few things I'm searching for here. Omni Entertainment System, HiPack, Sabamobile, all things that I know are in the current version of Wikipedia but aren't on this one. The reason I know they're in there now is because people have created those pages following videos that I've made about those products. So let's try and extricate the microSD card out of the back of here, just to have a look at it. It's very hard getting it out of there. You can see this isn't something that you'd want to do on a regular basis, but there you go. That's the sum of all human knowledge, and it's contained on a 4GB microSD card. I'd imagine the database on that card dated to either 2010 or perhaps just shortly afterwards when this product was copyrighted for the European market. Of course, it was 2009 in the US, but still, it's quite a bit out of date now. Now, if I'd had this back in 2014, I could have done a final update just before the servers went down for the WikiReader. But unfortunately now I'm left having to get hold of an update from a chap on eBay who makes his own using his custom server setup, etc. So he downloads Wikipedia and puts it onto a microSD card. Notice I've got a 16GB card now, and remember the instructions said it only goes up to 8 gigs, but presumably that's what was available at the time. Of course, I've got to mention these databases don't include any pictures or anything like that. That's why you can fit them on such a small microSD card. It's just purely text. I'm going to try the dictionary database, which has been added on here. You switch between them by pressing that globe symbol. Put my favourite word of the month in here, which is phlegmatic, and I'm trying to look for the definition on here, but I can see there's loads of missing links and things, so this perhaps isn't the best demonstration. But yeah, there's the definition at the bottom. Not easily excited to action or passion, calm and sluggish. Okay, so the dictionary doesn't seem to work very well. Let's switch back to the other database. Notice it's March 2018. And if I search for the things that I did before, they're all now included in this one. So yeah, I've got a pretty up-to-date version of Wikipedia on my WikiReader. Now, as to how useful this is in this day and age, I can't really think that I'm going to be using this very much. I just wanted to demonstrate it in this video. I was thinking maybe I'll give it to my parents, but then I thought, no, that screen is a little bit small, difficult to read and hard to type on for them. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, but let me just show you what's inside one of these, because I mentioned it was difficult for me to get hold of this. Well, I did buy one a few months earlier that said it didn't work in the advert. I thought, well, I'll have a look inside, just see if it's a battery contact that's not working or something. But no, unfortunately, it's a dead device. But it does give me the opportunity to show you the insides of one of these. By the way, cracking one of these open did seem to be a little bit destructive, so it's not something I'd recommend anyone do. And also, it's not really any point behind it because it doesn't do very much. It's a very low power device. I don't know if you could install anything on here that would be particularly useful. It's just showing you around the insides just to show you what's in here, because I know some people like to look around these things. But yeah, there's not much to see. That screen, by the way, is glued down, so you can't get that out either. But yeah, that's what the insides of one of these are like. But here's my other one that's still working fine, of course. I'll just show you a couple of additional features that I discovered while playing around. If you hold down the history button, that brings up the calculator that was mentioned earlier on as being included on the device. Very basic calculator though. If you hold down the side buttons when you turn it on, that brings you into this settings screen for the contrast. Of course, as I mentioned, there's no backlight, but you can adjust the contrast on this. I don't know why you'd have it anything less than maximum though, to make it as clear as possible. And then finally, holding down either the left or right hand buttons when you switch it on, lists all the Forth programs that you've got on it. These are all test programs except for that calculator that you've just seen, for testing the buttons and the screen, etc. But of course, this is where you could put additional programs into the device if you wanted to use it as some sort of mini, very low powered tablet. So there you go, that was the WikiReader, an offline version of an online encyclopedia. An interesting idea for a product, but one that very few people nowadays seem to remember or were even aware of it being out when it was on the market, and that was up until 2012, and you could still update it in 2014. So a relatively recent product, but one that's in danger of getting forgotten about. So we've documented it here in this video for future generations to mock. So that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.